In the golden era of Hong Kong action cinema, the world celebrated heroes who laughed loudly, cracked jokes, and drew applause in the center of the stage. Names like Jackie Chan and Jet Li became synonymous with a generation. But behind the noise, the clapping, and those famous faces, there existed a very different kind of warrior. A man who mastered his craft in silence. An artist whose greatness was not in his voice but in the absolute precision of his movements. This is the story of Yuen Biao. He was never the loudest in the room. He never chased fame. He never demanded attention. But when he stepped onto a film set, even gravity seemed to obey him. When he leaped, the impossible felt effortless. When a scene demanded perfect execution, all eyes inevitably fell upon him. This story is not about becoming famous. It is about discipline, humility, sacrifice, and a philosophy few can endure. It is about a man who chose mastery before recognition and, in doing so, became a legend. Long before the cameras, before the lights, before the applause, there was pain. In 1960s Hong Kong, a young boy entered one of the most grueling training systems in the world, the China Drama Academy. This was no place for comfort or creative freedom. It was a forge. Children trained before the sun rose and practiced late, into the night, stretching until joints screamed, repeating moves until muscles refused. Punishment for mistakes, punishment for hesitation, punishment for even the potential that remained unused. This was the world that shaped Yuen Biao. Alongside future legends like Sammo and Jackie Chan, Yuen Biao trained under Master Jim Yuen. The discipline was total. Before a child could stand, he had to fall. Before confidence, obedience. Before achievement, suffering. Many broke under the pressure. Some quit. Some were expelled. But Yuen Biao persevered. Not because he was the toughest or the most stubborn, but because he possessed a rare quality, complete single-mindedness. While others struggled with strength and endurance, Yuen Biao's body and mind moved in extraordinary harmony. His balance seemed unnatural, his agility limitless, his leaps high, his landings silent, his control flawless. By adolescence, it was clear he was the finest acrobat among the 7 little fortunes. Yet he never bragged, never performed for praise. He simply practiced. Pain was temporary. Mastery was permanent. When Yuen Biao entered Hong Kong's film industry, it was brutal. Actors could be replaced. Stuntmen were disposable. Injuries were part of the job. Safety often came later. Yet in that chaos, Yuen Biao became a treasured asset. A secret weapon. He doubled for stars, performed the most dangerous stunts, leapt where others hesitated. When timing had to be exact, he was trusted. When realism mattered more than showmanship, he was chosen. His face was rarely on the posters. His name rarely topped the credits. But his work was everywhere. And that was enough. Yuen Biao believed that if the work was flawless, recognition or not, its value would endure. In the 1970s and 1980s, Hong Kong cinema exploded creatively. Yuen Biao became part of the most powerful creative trio in film history, alongside Jackie Chan and Sammo. They were not rivals, they were craftsmen. Jackie brought charm and humor. Sammo brought vision and structure. Yuen Biao brought precision and physical mastery. Together they redefined action cinema. In films like Project A, Wheels on Meals, and Dragons Forever, Yuen Biao was the silent sword. Watch closely. The cleanest kicks, the highest leaps, the smoothest motions. No wasted movement. No theatrics. Every move had purpose. In The Prodigal Son, his technique resembled poetry. In Dreadnought, his agility seemed almost supernatural. He never stole scenes. He elevated them. What made Yuen Biao truly unique was not just his physical ability, but his philosophy. He worked harder than he spoke. He let his actions speak. He left ego at the door. In an industry driven by applause, he chose mastery. When fame turned to noise and flashiness, Yuen Biao stepped back, not because he lacked leadership, but because he needed no validation. He understood what most never do. Recognition is loud, but mastery is silent. Years of training and performance come at a cost. Countless falls, repeated injuries, strain on joints and spine. The body always pays. As Hong Kong cinema evolved, Yuen Biao adapted. He shifted toward television, supporting roles, mentorship. He never complained. He never chased trends. He changed course with dignity. True warriors do not cling to the past. They evolve. Today, as modern action cinema honors realism and precision, Yuen Biao's influence is everywhere. The respect given to stunt performers, the realism in fight choreography, all trace back to his work. But his greatest teaching is not physical. It is intellectual. You do not need to dominate the room. You do not need to announce your power. You do not need clapping to feel worthy. You need discipline, consistency, integrity, the courage to work when no one is watching, the patience to do your work without recognition, the faith that time will reveal your value. If you feel overlooked, if your effort is unseen, if others get credit while you bear the burden, remember Yuen Biao. Greatness does not shout. It endures. Train silently. Move purposefully. Let your actions speak. Because in the end, legends are remembered not for how loudly they yelled, but for how flawlessly they moved. There comes a moment in every journey when ambition no longer asks, "How far can I go?" Instead, it asks quietly, "Why did I walk this path at all?" For many, this question arrives too late. After the applause fades, after the roles stop coming, after identity has fused too tightly to achievement. But for Yuen Biao, this question did not bring fear. It brought clarity. Purpose, when rooted correctly, does not vanish when visibility fades. It evolves. Yuen Biao's later years were not about reclaiming the spotlight. They were about preserving meaning. About honoring the discipline that shaped him without demanding it shape the world forever. Because most people believe fulfillment lives at the peak, at recognition, at the height of success. The truth is more complicated. The peak is brief. What comes after lasts longer. When achievement is your anchor, life after it feels empty. But when purpose is rooted in process, in growth, in discipline itself, fulfillment becomes portable. It travels with you. Yuen Biao did not lose himself when he stepped back, because he was never defined solely by roles or fame. He was defined by how he trained, prepared, and respected the craft. Those things cannot be taken away. This is why his calm deepened with age instead of fracturing. Why his presence softened without weakening. Why his authority remained without needing assertion. He had already won the internal battle most never face, the battle between ego and identity. Ego demands continuation. Identity demands truth. Ego says, "I must remain visible." Identity says, "I must remain aligned." When you choose identity over ego, stepping away is not failure. It is completion. This is rarely taught. We are taught to chase, accumulate, maximize, extend relevance endlessly. But we are rarely taught how to exit gracefully, to close a chapter without bitterness, to let life change shape without losing meaning. Yuen Biao's journey shows fulfillment is not in clinging to what you were. It is in respecting what shaped you and allowing it to live on differently. Sometimes that looks like mentorship, sometimes quiet presence, sometimes simply living well, sometimes silence. Silence is not absence. It is space. Space to reflect, to integrate, to live without performance. In that space, you discover whether your work built a life or merely a reputation. His life teaches, when discipline is internalized, you no longer need external validation. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to be seen. You are at peace. And peace is the rarest achievement of all. So what does this mean for you? Your value is not tied to visibility. Your worth does not expire when circumstances change. Your purpose can outlive your ambition if you build it correctly. Train for mastery, not applause. Commit to standards, not trends. Build identity from process, not outcome. One day, the noise will fade for everyone. When it does, what remains will determine whether you feel loss or liberation. Yuen Biao's life reminds us that fulfillment is not about staying at the top. It is about knowing when the climb has already given you everything you needed, and walking forward, lighter, wiser, complete, quiet strength, earned peace, purpose beyond the spotlight. And that may be the greatest victory of all.